Today, we delve into the dark and harrowing pages of history, exploring the most dreadful traps used during the Vietnam War. Prepare yourselves as we uncover the horrors that plagued both sides of the conflict. The Vietnam War, a prolonged conflict that spanned from 1955 to 1975, witnessed the utilization of cruel and gruesome traps that left an indelible mark on warfare history. Both the Viet Cong and the US forces resorted to employing vicious traps to gain the upper hand in the dense jungles and rugged terrain. Our journey into the most horrible traps of the Vietnam War begins with the infamous Punji traps. These terrifying devices were ingeniously simple yet deadly. The Viet Cong would dig pits and line them with bamboo spikes, often coated with poisonous substances, camouflaging them with leaves and dirt. When an unsuspecting soldier stepped on one, it would result in severe injuries, infections, or even death. Another ghastly trap that plagued the troops was the tiger trap. These massive pits, covered with foliage, were concealed with tripwires that, when triggered, caused a heavy wooden frame with sharpened spikes to swing down, impaling anyone unfortunate enough to be caught in its grasp. To counter the Punji traps and other concealed hazards, the US forces developed various countermeasures and protective gear. Soldiers wore thick-soled boots to mitigate the impact of stepping on spikes, and they used metal detectors to locate buried explosives and mines. However, even with these precautions, the danger persisted, and the psychological toll on the troops remained high. The Claymore mine, employed by the US forces, was a powerful anti-personnel explosive device. Disguised as innocent rocks or bushes, these mines could be remotely detonated or triggered by tripwires, causing devastating casualties among enemy troops. The Viet Cong used the bouncing Betty mine to deadly effect. Once triggered, the mine would jump a few feet into the air before exploding, aiming for maximum damage to the lower body of its victims. It was a terrifying weapon that struck fear into any soldier patrolling the dense jungle. Toe popper mines were a gruesome trap utilized by the Viet Cong. Concealed on pathways and trails, these small explosive devices were designed to maim rather than kill their victims. Upon activation, they would explode at ankle height, causing severe injuries and hampering the mobility of targeted soldiers. Among the cruelest traps were the Punisher spike traps. These vicious devices featured a combination of deadly metal spikes and animal waste. Soldiers caught in these traps not only faced severe injuries, but were at risk of deadly infections from the contaminated spikes. The horrors of the Vietnam War extended beyond the land, with waterborne traps adding to the grim reality. Hidden underwater explosives and tripwires made patrolling rivers and waterways extremely perilous for soldiers. Beyond the physical dangers, psychological warfare was also employed. Booby traps, strategically placed around the remains of fallen soldiers, preyed on the emotions of their comrades, causing fear and paranoia. Some soldiers risked their lives to save their comrades from traps, displaying an unwavering commitment to their fellow soldiers' well-being. These acts of bravery amidst the darkness showcase the resilience of the human spirit, even in the most trying times. In the face of such brutality, acts of compassion and humanity shone through as beacons of hope. Stories emerged of enemy soldiers helping wounded adversaries or sharing food and shelter in a moment of truce. These instances of humanity amidst the chaos remind us that even in the darkest of times, there is still room for empathy and understanding. The Vietnamese people, too, suffered deeply from the consequences of these traps. Many innocent civilians fell victim to the same traps intended for soldiers, adding another layer of tragedy to the war. These brutal tactics not only caused loss of life, but also sowed long-lasting distrust and animosity between the local population and the invading forces. The Vietnam War was marked by a level of brutality rarely witnessed in modern conflicts. The horrible traps used during this tumultuous period serve as a grim reminder of the human capacity for cruelty in times of war. As we remember the sacrifices made during this dark chapter in history, may we also strive for a future where conflict is resolved through dialogue and understanding. Thank you for joining us on this spine-chilling journey into the most horrible traps used in the Vietnam War. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow history enthusiasts.